you have to start breaking down on a smaller time frame before you can break down on a larger time frame.
What would be the biggest mistake that people make when they're learning this? Because I know you help a lot of traders too.
The biggest thing is like you can always reposition. Today I was down 6-7K,
Yep.
and now I'm finishing the day 13,000 green.
This one obviously worked. Does it always work?
No, it's all about keeping your losses small. If the trade doesn't work out, cut it. Wait for it to reset back up and then retake your entry and let it work out.
Welcome back to Be the Trader. Today is going to be a fun day because we're going to be diving deep into a setup. I brought my boy Tyson, who's been trading for many years, and he went full-time a couple of years back, and I brought him on the show when he transitioned from part-time to full-time swing trader. He's been swing trading and day trading on a regular basis, and he's going to be sharing an entire setup with you all today. So Tyson, welcome back to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I love it. We talk on a regular basis. For those of you who don't know, he's one of my good friends and good traders. So go ahead and walk us through from the big picture all the way down.
So big picture, you know, I love to look weekly, daily, and then go in a 4-hour. I'm going to break down AMD real quick because AMD was a pretty solid trade that we took this morning. We essentially had this failure that we were looking at in the daily. And when I broke it down this morning, we were creating this pull. And we were trading in this range. Sorry for the notifications. And then when we got in, we were looking for the breakdown on the smaller time frame, which we ended up getting this morning. So we took positions into the highs, into that failure area. And then when we got confirmation and it pulled back, we were able to get decent size on there. And I think this ended up going 150%. When we started setting stops and trail stops.
And go back to the daily. Could you explain in more detail about the daily setup itself? Like, because people are going to see this and they're like, okay, what exactly does it mean? Like it's failed to break out.
So I'm looking for a candle that's breaking out, creating new highs in that trend. And then what I want to see is a failure, that it can't hold those lows. So that's telling me that buyers are underwater. So typically with inexperienced traders, when it retraces back into it, they're in a hurry. They're going to stop out, and that's where I want to start getting short.
Okay, so you see on the daily, it's coming to that key area, and then you went to the lower time frame. And why is that important to you?
Well, you know, the bigger time frame gives me the direction that I want to see the stock move in the day, and it also sets up on the targets. The smaller time frame gives me the better entry, because let's say I just got into this on a rip. Well, the problem is if you look at how high she could potentially rip, she could potentially go all the way to almost $85. So if I just blindly slapped the sell button, I could have been getting into it too early. So once we got this smaller time breakdown, then we could get into it and get precision entries.
So when you find that smaller time frame breakdown, are you at that moment just then your plan at least for the trade intraday is on that smaller time frame? Is that correct? Like, are you building your entire plan off of that?
Well, what we want to do is we then want to have targets off of the larger time frames, and if it doesn't start working on the smaller time frame, I can get out quick. But if it starts working, then I can move looking for the 15-minute. I can look at the hour, the 4-hour, and then get the massive breakdown in the bigger targets.
And go for the bigger move.
Correct.
Which is why you even look in the daily in the first place.
Correct.
So the daily not only gives you your edge, but it also gives you an edge with a much higher expected value.
Exactly.
Interesting. So now I'm curious, is there a setup to this one? Obviously worked. Does it always work?
No. You know, I just stopped out of SPY before we started this. Here, I'll go in a SPY real quick. Let me jump. So on this daily, Monday, we had the gap up. We started to fail. I was looking at this 4-hour because I'm looking for the trend reversal. Well, I see this failed breakout. See how we start we're holding it, and then I get this failed breakout, and then see how we get the open and close here. So I was looking for.
Would you draw the box real quick? 'Cause I
Yeah.
know people probably have a hard time seeing this. There you go. Yep.
So I have the open close under her. Here's my failed breakout. When we traced in her, she ended up getting me yesterday. And then today I should have seen that she was holding this breakout. But I was risking because when I trade this, my stop is going to be essentially this high candle. So when we weren't able to hold yesterday's highs, we gapped down. I was looking for the retracement to get into her, and unfortunately she ripped my lips today.
That's no worries. And what's interesting is like you have stops in place. Could you explain how your stops work and how you know when to get out?
Well, anytime, on this, we'll go back to here, let me, so it's a little bit cleaner. See this range? A lot of people, you got to understand range of a candle. So anytime you start getting a push, an open close above it, it's breaking out of this range. What I want to see is it come into this range, get stuffed, and then sell back down. So once I start getting the open and close above it, I'm stopping out.
So you need to account for giving it some room to open and close above it.
Correct. If you're looking at a 4-hour chart, which I was looking for, I might buy these contracts on SPY. I might buy them 2-3 days out, a week out, 2 weeks, because you got a bigger time frames. On a 4-hour chart, you're only going to get 2 candles.
Yep.
So you can't really do much on 2 candles, but you can't. That's when you come in the 5-minute, and I'll show you where I stopped out. Because on the 4-hour candle, I was like, sweet, we got the open below,
right.
We got the look above, and when I was trading the 5-minute, I have it where, there you go. So I get the open and close here, so I know if it gets back into this area, I can get short. Unfortunately, I got the green close, and then shortly after she gave us a nice drop, and then she retraced up, and then giving us a new 4-hour candle. Now this 4-hour candle, she's opening above my stop. It's easier to cut out, and I'll reposition and wait for a new setup.
Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you can just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show. So what would be the biggest mistake that people make when they're learning this new stuff? Because I know you help a lot of traders too, and you stream live, I think, almost every day.
Yeah,
right?
typically every day. The biggest thing is like what I talked about in our first interview. You can always reposition. Today I was down 6-7K,
yep.
And now I'm finishing the day 13,000 green. So it's all about keeping your losses small. Hey, if the trade doesn't work out, cut it. Wait for it to reset back up, and then retake your entry and let her work out.
That's a good point. I mean, how many trades did you take today, and how many of those are winners and losers?
Today I definitely felt like I overtraded. I wanted to break the curse.
We'll talk about that.
But I get a lot of setups. I can take 10, 15 trades a day if I want to.
Yep, and today how many did you take?
I think I mainly focus on AMD and SPY. I did take a quick little trade on NVIDIA. So I traded about 4 or 5 times today.
And were you one on what, 1, 2? How many you went on?
I only lost on SPY.
You only lost on SPY, okay. And what I'm trying to get at is like your risk management, right? If you're going to trade that much, you got to make sure you're okay to take losses and you have good risk management. Because is it true? I mean, I don't know your strategy per se, but would you say like a lot of your money comes from multiple trades or like one big trade, or how does it normally work for you?
Well, the reason I like my trade is because I do have a high win rate. But when it does start to break down, like Boeing, here I'll pull up Boeing. Here's a great 4-hour range. Here's my stop. We got into it at this 1770, and she gapped down to 208 and ended up hitting the lower part where we were covering. So we made roughly almost 15 points on that move, 15 plus points. And sometimes there's going to be little trades like AMD. This morning, we didn't get the breakdown we wanted. So once we put our trail stop in, you know, it stopped us out. But we still put up 150% on the trade.
How do you determine your stop, like as it works?
Well, I'm going to take some off as I'm coming into key support levels on, you know, smaller time frames and larger time frames. But it's the same thing. It's now I just flip the screen over. When I get a failure to break down like this, I get my open and close. That's telling me that the trend's more likely going to be reversing.
And the whole idea, and just to reiterate it one more time, because I know it can be confusing, and I've known you for a long time. It took me a while to understand it myself. So just to explain one more time, like, could you show why this is a failure to continue to break down?
Well, essentially, you know, we have our lower lows. We made a new low, and then we started to consolidate. And then right here, we got the open and close above this range. So that's telling me that buyers are buying up this range, and we're starting to get that that reversal.
And the key for you is the separation.
Correct. Anytime when we're coming into a level, I want to see. Once she comes back down and tests this range, I want to start seeing good separation from this price action, because sometimes what you'll see is she'll come up and then she'll trade sideways, and it's more or less she's trapping you, and then she'll dump, or the same vice versa. If you're getting short, she'll trade sideways on you. I was trying to find a good one earlier. Actually, SPY was a good one.
Now, does it, go ahead and show me first.
So here's a great, see how we don't get the separation?
Yep.
And
for a moment we do, but yes.
yeah, but we're
Doesn't
still,
really,
see how we still wick into it?
Yep.
We're not starting to separate. She breaks down and then's like, gotcha.
Yep. So you got to be really, so sometimes it's easy to be tricked.
Correct.
It's easy to be tricked, but you got to be okay with that with this strategy too, it seems like.
Correct. Because, you know, sometimes you're going to get, you know, you're going to take those, and if you bind them into that range, and you'll see that your losses, the risk reward is fucking phenomenal. Sorry, my language. But the risk, when you're buying it coming back into that range and you're not seeing what you want, you can cut it pretty quick and minimize. You know, instead of a full 1R, you might be getting something like a half R.
Okay, cool. Now, I wanted to ask you this, like, is it really important to you that this has to be entering into the daily key area first for you to even look in the smaller time frame, or will you trade this in the smaller time frame only?
So, yes and no, because if I start seeing that we're coming into resistance, let's say former resistance, you have to start breaking down on a smaller time frame before you can break down on a larger time frame. So
that's really deep right there, even though I get you. That's good. Hopefully you better hear that again. Say that one more time.
You have to start breaking down on the smaller time frame before you get to break down on the larger time frame. So it's giving you, you know, that, as everyone says, that sniper entry, and you can, like Boeing, you know, we knew 1770 was a huge area of interest. It came into it. It wasn't broke down. I mean, I can show you. Yep. It was just in that range. All right. You know, it was straight pushing into it.
Yeah.
And if you look into it in the 5-minute, we bought it coming into that area. And then it started to break down on the smaller time frame, and then the larger time frame, we got that continuation, or that breakdown. So
what I'm curious about, is this something you can only implement, I mean, it sounds like you can implement in every time frame.
Correct.
So for someone who is working a full-time job and they don't have all day, they could still somewhat come up with this same strategy, use this strategy on a different time frame that fits for them and their current lifestyle?
So this is how I start recognizing stocks that I want to start swinging to.
Yep.
Then when I dig in the financials, I can say, oh wow, this is a really good, healthy company. This company, we have a failure to break down. We're starting to develop support. All the literature, the research is lining up like this is a great entry. Remember Intel? How many times did I talk about Intel?
A lot.
And Intel was essentially the same thing. When I looked at her, and I'll pull her up real quick for just kind of, a bigger time frame. Look, my box is still there and it's highlighted. So I started getting into Intel once we started a failure to break down.
Yep.
We separated. The news, once you did your due diligence on the news, it was, anytime it was coming in here, I was buying, and yeah, I'm doing good on it.
And this is just another good example. I mean, I love that you shared this, man, because now not only are we saying it, but this is great for someone who is a full-time worker and you want to trade something in a longer time period that you don't have all day to look at. And this strategy essentially is catching reversals.
Exactly. It's just catching reverse trends.
I love it. I love it. Well, Tyson, look, man, if people want to learn more about you, and they heard me say you stream a lot, so where can they learn more about you?
So we started a group called Winger Trades, and yeah, it's been a blast. If you're sensitive, I wouldn't come.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time. It's a very free community.
Free community.
And you can join. And you trade for the most part live every day, it seems.
Yeah, mostly, almost, unless I'm traveling to Dallas to hang out with you.
There you go. So look, Tyson, I appreciate you being here, brother. And by the way, what's your Twitter?
Dude, I don't even know.
That's all right. I'll put the link below. Thanks, brother.